Hi friends, my name is Coder Girl Chan and welcome to my channel. I am super excited about the video that we're gonna make today. I made it a goal for me to figure out how to make a Stardew mod by the end of this year, and I want to take you guys on the journey of me trying to figure it out. The plan is to just start with the basics today, so we're not going to go into any crazy character creation, anything like that. I just want to add maybe a couple items, and the item I've chosen today is a hat. So the goal for this video today is adding a hat to Stardew. So grab your notepads, grab a pen, we're getting into this and you're gonna need to take notes. I'm also gonna need to take notes because this seems really complicated. Okay, so the first resource that I feel like would be the most useful place to start would be this Stardew Wiki page. So it's literally StardewValleyWiki.com. It has a bunch of resources on how to use mods and then also how to create your own mods. So let's go ahead and find out how to use mods. So I'm literally just going to look up modding. I guess I could look up just mod. And then you'll see here that it literally has using mods and creating mods. So I'm going to go ahead and click on creating mods. Then once you click on creating mods, it gives you a few options of the different mods you can do. And then there's creating content packs. So creating content packs is what I think we're going to use for today because we are actually adding content into the game. So we're adding some digital assets into the game. So that's the one we're looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Okay, once you click on it, it gives you this page. So it kind of gives you an overview of the different content things that you can add. So there's things like texture, like buildings, animals, trees, farm buildings, things like that. It's all listed here. The main thing that we're going to do today is we're going to add in an asset. So the asset being a hat. Assets are like things like images. That's usually what assets are referred to. So we're adding in a new asset, which is a hat. The thing I'm going to do is actually just go ahead and click on this JsonAssets one because that seems to be what our starting point is. All right, so this is Nexus. So before you can even download any mods, so if you're just looking to download mods, you'll have to make sure that you have this Nexus Mods account. It's completely free. There's like an option for paid for faster downloads, but we don't want to do a faster download. We just want to do like a regular download. So you just have to sign up with an email or something like that, and that will enable you to actually download mods. Now, there are a couple that we have to download before we do anything, and it basically tells you like what you're going to need in order to do all of that. So if you scroll down into JSON assets, you'll see that there's something called requirements, and those are the requirements you need to actually even use JSON assets. And JSON assets is, again, the huge part you need to actually add any assets into the game. So if you click on here, it's basically telling you like these three are the requirements. So there's the expanded precautions utility, SMAPI, SMAPI? I can never pronounce it. And then this Space Core one that you'll need as well. Now, at this point, you may be wondering, what do I do with these files? Where did I put them? How do I install them? All those things. And those are all valid questions. So I'm going to actually show you how to do them now. Now, if we refer back to that Stardew Wiki page where it shows you how to mod things, you can see that there's using mods and creating mods. So though we're actually creating mods, we need to set up kind of the foundation for using a mod. So if we go ahead and click on this using mods link, it will show you all the guides you need to using mods. So things like how to install SMAPI. I still don't know how to pronounce it. How to install SMAPI, and how you would like download a mod and put it in your game folder. So this gives you kind of all the instructions, but again, I'm going to do it myself and take you through the whole process. So the first thing you want to do is actually download SMAPI because that's basically the main like platform or software or engine that runs the mods for you. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this link here, which was inside this JSON assets page here, and we're going to go ahead and download SMAPI. So I'll take you to this page, and SMAPI will basically give you a bunch of links on how to, download it. So you could just do like a manual download here. Now, when you download it, you actually need to move this folder somewhere else and unzip it because it will complain if you try to run the installer without unzipping it. So I'm basically just going to tell it to extract to my desktop, and then we'll just do it from there. Okay, so I've unzipped it. Here's the folder on my desktop. You're going to see that there's these 3 install files. I'm on Windows, so I'm going to go ahead and click on this Windows one. And then it's just going to take me through an installation. So it's going to say, where would you like to add or remove SMAPI? I already have it on my computer, but let's just reinstall. Let's just reinstall it. It already has where my game is, but if it doesn't have the right folder, you can click on 2 and tell it exactly where your game folder is. But number 1 is actually where my game folder is. Okay, so after you run your install, so I did actually go ahead and uninstall it and installed it again because I want to do this with you so you can actually see it. I'm a visual person. I'm sure you want to see what's going on. So you'll see that basically it's installed. Everything should be in my folder. You should be good to go. So if I actually go to my Stardew folder, let's go find that. So go to the Stardew one. We'll see that it has a bunch of stuff in here. So you'll see that SMAPI is here. So it's good to go. It actually made a mods folder for me as well. So there's a few mods already in there. We can just ignore those for now. That's more for, I guess, SMAPI. But you can see it has a bunch of stuff in here. And then you'll also see that it has this, which is what we're actually going to run the modded Stardew on, which is the Stardew modding API. So when you run Stardew, you run it through this folder, or sorry, through this file, and it will launch the modded version. So it says that we need SMAPI, so we've run the SMAPI install, but we also need these 2 things as well. So if we click on the expanded precautions utility, this is also a mod. I'm not sure what it does. I'm not going to read what it does, but I need it. So in order to get it, we just need to go ahead and download it. Like I said before, in order to download stuff from Nexus Mods, you have to have an account. So just make sure that you have an account already. So I'm going to go ahead and manually download that. It's going to tell you that you need SMAPI. We already got it. We're good to go. So we're going to go ahead and download this one. Okay, so now it's downloaded. What you're going to do is when you extract this folder, you're going to make sure that it's inside your mods folder. So anytime you add anything mod, it looks like SMAPI already added it for me, but if it didn't, you can actually just create a folder literally called mods. So you can see I have an actual mods folder here. So anytime you have a mod that you want to add, it's going to go in here. Copy this folder. I'm going to go back to the folder, my mods folder. So this is my mods folder. There was those 3 in there already, and I'm going to paste it right in here. So now we have that mod in there. Again, you can unzip it somewhere, copy and paste it into here, or you can literally extract it right into here if you know exactly what your path is. Okay, so that one's done. Let's do the next one. So if we go back to the requirements for here, the other for JsonAssets, the other requirement is the Space Core mod. So we're going to do the same thing that we did with the last one, which is download it and then copy the folder that we unzip right into the mods folder. Okay, cool. So now we have the 2 things that we need, which is the expanded precautions utility and the Space Core. Again, those other 3 just kind of came in this folder, so you can ignore them. But we got it. We've installed SMAPI. Now let's actually make a mod, which is the complicated part. This seems complicated, but the complicated part is actually getting what you want in the game. So let's get to that part. JsonAssets is the last mod pack we need, so I lied. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to lie. But we need this before we can do anything, but we did the prerequisites. Let's go ahead and download this one. Okay, we've downloaded it. Now if you look, we got JsonAssets, which is the main one. Then we have it's 2 prerequisites, which is expanded precautions utility and Space Core. So now we have everything we need. I promise, I don't think we need anything else. Okay, now we're back on this main mod that we want to use. Now you may be wondering, what do I do from here? Because even on the Stardew Wiki page, it doesn't really explain how to use JsonAssets, but JsonAssets has a pretty good guide for you to use, and it's down here. So if you scroll down to here, you'll see something called for mod authors. If you click on this, it will kind of give you more details on what you need to do in order to see your mods happen. So this is the author guide. It basically gives you, an introduction. It shows you all of the different stuff that you can do, like supported content. So it has things like big craftables, crops, fruit trees, objects, hats. Hats is what we're going to be doing today. Things like that. So it gives you like a bit of an introduction on like the sizes of everything, what everything is. It gives you a few examples, so you can go and see how different other content packs, you know, like people have made hats and shirts and things like that, how they do it, so you can have examples. So let's focus on hats today, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and scroll to the top and I'm going to click on hats and I'm going to look at this thing and be like, what does any of this mean? This is very confusing. And I know, I'm sorry, it is very confusing. And I'm going to do my best to take you through it and we're going to make a hat, damn it. So back at the top of the document, they have something like an introduction. And in the introduction, they say there's a few packs here that show, you know, how to set up things. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the one that says dinosaur shirts and boots. And I kind of want to see what they did on their end. So I'm going to go ahead and look at that. Okay, this is really cute. I kind of want this mod. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and download this mod because I want to see what they did. So let's go ahead and download it. Okay, so I'm inside the mod. So you can see that the only thing inside this mod is this folder. So if I click on the folder, there's three things. There's boots, there's shirts, and there's tailoring. If I go back to the documentation, you'll see that there's things called boots and shirts and tailoring. Let's go down to boots and see like what you need for boots. So if you go to boots, it says, okay, boots are 16 by 16. And it's saying you need like these three things. So you have like boots.json, you have boots.png and color.png. So PNGs would be the actual like asset that you're using to create the boot. And then the JSON is still a little confusing. So we'll see what that is. Okay, so if I go to the folder and I click on boots, I see that there's two folders in there. So it seems like if I need to create like an item, I have to have a folder with that item. So in this case, every single boot I have seems to have to go in the boots folder. So I'm in the boots folder. I'm going to check out dinosaur boots green. And it has those three things. So if we look back, it says JSON, PNG, boots PNG, color PNG. So it has this boots.json. And this boots.json is basically going to lay out how much the boots cost, what the name of the boots are, where you can buy them, things like that. So before you do anything, sorry, I should have probably told you this beginning of the video. I'm a little late to the game. You'll probably want a code editor. I use Visual Studio Code. There's a few other free ones out there like Sublime Code, Atom, things like that. I'll link a couple inside the video so you can download them, but you'll need that just to edit this file. So I'm just gonna go ahead and open this just so that we can take a look at what it actually looks like. Okay, so here's the file. Okay, doesn't look crazy yet. You know, we got some squiggly brackets, we got some values, things like that. So we're back here. Okay, so this is starting to make sense. There's all these fields and we just saw that JSON file that had all those fields in it. So it had name, it had description, it had a price. We had defense and immunity in there. We had purchase from, we had purchase price. Sometimes there's like purchase requirements. We don't need to get that deep. We just want to, you know, get it on the board and things like that. So there's a bunch of fields that we have on there that we need to add. Okay, so if we start at the beginning, in order to add an item, it has to just be an item on that JSON assets list. So in this case, when it comes to this dinosaur thing, we have boots, and then we put our boots folder in there. And then we just need the three things that it asks for, which is the JSON file, which basically maps out all the details about it, and then the actual asset that we need. Now there's one more piece that they don't really talk about in JSON assets, and I'm going to take you through that right now. So you may see in this folder, in the actual mod folder, you'll see something called a manifest.json. So it's like a JSON file like this one that we're looking at, but it's a little bit different. So if we open it up, we can see that it's a JSON file, but it has a few extra things in there. So it has a name, an author, a version, some description, some sort of unique ID, whatever these keys are, and the content pack thing. Now, again, this may look complicated, but what you would do if you're like, I don't even remember what all these values are, do exactly what I did. Download a pack that looks like this, And you can literally just copy this and then add whatever you want. And we're going to do that right now. We're going to copy this, create our own, and do it for hats. So like I said, any mod that you have is going to go in here in this mods folder, which lives with your Stardew file inside your Steam folder or wherever you have Stardew. So if we look at the name of that boots and shirts dinosaur folder that we looked at, you'll see that it has something in square brackets there where it says JA and then it has the name. That folder name is super important, like I said, because JsonAssets needs to know that it needs to do some work in there. So when we're naming the folder for our hats, we need to make sure that we have that JA on the front or else it doesn't know to go in there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create a folder that we're going to use to put our mod in. And we're going to make sure that we have that JA wording on the front of it. Okay, so I've added the folder. It's called JA Chant Hats. So what do we do next? What do we need to add to this? So if we use that example of the dinosaur shirt and we go inside, you can see that there's those 3 main folders, which is boots, shirts, tailoring, and then there's this manifest.json file. So what we need to do is do the same thing, but we only have one item, which is hats. So anytime you want to add an asset, if you look at the JsonAssets documentation, you'll see that it has all those different things. It has like crops and trees and things like that. So every time you want something like that, you have a folder with it. So in this case with the boots, we added the boots folder. So in our case, we'll need a hats folder. So you can see I have my hats folder. There's nothing in it. We need to just do one more thing before we start adding stuff to it, and that's creating our manifest.json. Now, I have no idea what the values are. I'm just going to use that dinosaur resource that we had before and make some adjustments so that it works for our mods folder. So here it is here. I'm going to go through each item and kind of what's required and what each one means. So I'm going to go ahead and change the name. I'm just going to call this Chan's hats for JsonAssets. You don't need to put JsonAssets. I'm just adding it there. Then the author. So I'm the author, Coder Girl Chan. This is version 1.0. It can literally be any version. If you make changes in Nexus, you got to increment the version so that it knows it's like a new version. So in this case, we're just going to start with 1.0. This is my very first version. Description, it's just going to be testing out how to make a hat. And then the unique ID can literally be anything. So they have their name and then like the name of the asset. So in this case, or the name of the mod. So in this case, I'm just going to put my name. And we're just going to call it Chan's hat or something like that. Chan hat, something like that. It can literally be anything. Now, this unique key is used mainly for Nexus. I think it has like some sort of code on it. In this case, we don't have one. We're not using Nexus, so I'm just going to leave this blank. And then the content pack 4, you're just telling it we want to use JsonAssets here. So it's already here. This is like the author, and then that's the name of the mod. So we're just going to keep that. And that's all you need. So I'm going to go ahead and save this into my folder that I've created, and then I'll show you. Okay, so you see that I have my hats folder, which is still empty, and then I have my manifest.json file. If you are creating a manifest JSON file from scratch, just make sure when you save it in your code editor that you save it as manifest.json or JSON, so that it knows that it's a JSON file. So we got our JSON file there. We're good to go. Now we actually need to start putting stuff into the hats folder. So I'm going to go back to the documentation so I can kind of show you how you know what you need to put in there. Okay, so we scrolled down to hats. Hats basically says that the hats are 20 by 80, 20 by 80 being the size, so 20 pixels by 80 pixels. So again, whatever you use to save your image, make sure it's 20 by 80, and then you put in your hats folder. So we've already created hats. It says that they're all purchasable at Hat Mouse, so you can go to that little hat mouse at the bottom and buy it from there, and you can only have a total of 87 hats, so, you know, can't splurge like that. And then it says inside your folder, you should have something called a hat.json and a hat.png. Now, I think the boots had one more, like a color one, but you don't need that for hats. So hats, it's just asking that you have your map in there. So it has a few details, so it knows some stuff about the hat. And then the image of your hat. So we only need 2 things in there. So I'm back inside that boots folder of the dinosaur boots, and you can see it has two separate folders. So it looks like if you have multiple assets, you can just put them in that one folder. So in our case, hats, you could put your multiple hats in there just with different folders because it has different mappings and different images. So in our case, we'll create a folder for our hat and put all of our stuff in there. Okay, so I've created a folder called Chan Hat. Again, it's empty. So we're going to add the stuff that we want to add in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with our map or hat.json to let them know what the data is for that hat. Now, again, if you're like, I don't know how to code, I don't even know where to start. Again, just open up something that you've seen from a different mod and you can kind of modify it from there for your use case. So I'm going to go ahead and open up one of the Dino boots and then edit it from there. Okay, so here is the Dino boots one. I'm going to edit it based on what I need. Again, because this isn't boots we're making a hat, there is a couple modifications that we need to add. So the first modification is there's no defense or immunity on hats. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. The second thing is there's purchase from. So you can tell them where you want to purchase it from. So you can put a specific vendor, anyone who sells stuff. But in this case, I just want the default to be Hat Mouse. So in the documentation, it says if you don't put purchase from, the default is Hat Mouse. So I'm just going to remove this completely. Now everything else can stay. We have like what the name of the hat is, the description, how much it costs to purchase it. So I guess the price might be like how much you sell it for, and then can purchase meaning like you can buy it. Okay, so here it is inside my J folder, inside hat, and then inside Chan Hat, we have the hat.json. So we have that folder in there in the mapping. There's a couple other options that you can add to hats. So we're going to take a look at them now and then probably add them to our JSON. So you can see there's things like show hair, ignore hairstyle offset, things like that. So if you don't add these, they're automatically false. So in this case, I want it so that when a person wears the hat, it still shows their hair. So I'm going to add that to my JSON so it knows that I want to show hair. And then we're going to do show hair, just like that, just how it shows in the actual, on the actual page. And then we're just going to say true, like that. So now we have shows hair. I'm just going to save it because it's already in my folder. And now that option is added there. Now we just got to do the last thing, which is add the actual PNG or asset for the hats and make sure it's actually saved as a PNG. That's very important. Okay, so here's my canvas that I have in Illustrator. Again, you can use whatever thing you're comfortable with. The main thing is that this is 20 pixels wide by 80 pixels high. And that's super important when it comes to hats. Now, why is it 20 by 80? 80 looks really long, right? Like that's crazy. It's because there's different views of the hat. So you have the front of the hat, the back of the hat, the side of the hat, and the other side of the hat. So you have like left, right. So what it wants you to do is kind of split it up into 4 sections so that it can like grab each section each time it needs it. So I've laid this out. It's like a star hat or something like that. I don't even know if this is going to work or what it's going to look like. It's probably going to look crazy and that's okay because we'll change it later, I guess. But it's in those like 20 by 20 squares. I added like a circle at the bottom of the star hat so that I think that should go over the head. It might still cover the head. I don't know. We'll find out once we upload it. But you can see it's like each one is in their own sections. And then the other thing is how it's laid out is the top one is the front. And then I think it goes left, right, and then back. So this is going to look crazy, but we're just playing around with this right now. So if it looks crazy, that's totally fine. We'll learn how to finesse it later, but we just want to see that this is working. The other thing is, no matter what you use, make sure that your background is transparent and not white because the white background will show up. So make sure that your background when you upload it is transparent. And that's why they use PNGs, is because PNGs can have transparent backgrounds. So we're just going to make sure that we have a transparent background as well. So I'm going to go ahead and save this and then I'm going to put it in my folder with my JSON. And then I think we should be good to go. So let's see. So we're inside the actual hat folder. We have the hat.json and we have that hat.png. So we have the PNG here and we have the hat JSON. So technically, if we boot up everything, we should be good to go. So why don't we try to boot up Stardew and see if we have hats? Now, again, to run modded Stardew, you need to make sure that you run the version of Stardew that says Stardew Modding API. So this is the original one, and then this is the one that will have all your mods. So I'm going to go ahead and run this version of Stardew. You know it's working because this terminal, which is SMAPI, will start running and run all your mods for you. If you're wondering where the hat mouse is, the hat mouse is basically down at the bottom, close to Barney's, all the way down at the bottom, all the way at the end, you'll find the hat mouse shack. All right, moment of truth. Does the hat mouse have my hat? There it is. There's the hat. It looks terrible and I don't think it's gonna fit, but I don't really care. Let's put it on. Goodbye, bow. Hello, star hat. This looks crazy. This looks terrible. I hate it, but the more important thing is we have a hat. We did it. All right, that's it. We learned how to make a mod. Now, I'm going to leave all the resources that I talked about down in the actual YouTube video, but if you have any more questions, please feel free to comment on the video and I will get back to you. I can't wait to do more and we can actually learn how to make a proper hat and maybe some other things. I'll catch you all later. Happy modding!